What is often not disclosed in your yoga teacher training course is that getting in the door at a yoga studio is tough. Yoga studios literally have hundreds of people applying to teach regular classes there. I want to suggest that yoga studios serve two purposes. They are both businesses and they're also community centers. Yoga studios are very much about relationships. Welcome back to Yoga Teacher Grad School. It's Q&A time. So Anne writes in and she asks Julian, what is the best way to start teaching at a yoga studio? Great question. It's an interesting thing wanting to teach yoga because our role models are teachers who teach successfully at yoga studios. And yet, this is a very hard thing to do, especially since yoga has become so popular, so widespread, and so many thousands of people take teacher training courses. In the city where I live, Los Angeles, which is considered the mecca of yoga in the world right now, there are so many yoga teachers. You can't turn around without bumping into a yoga teacher. So yoga studios, especially larger, successful yoga studios, even if they're mom and pop studios, they don't have to be super corporate. Even the mom and pop studios get a lot of applicants. And I think what happens for a lot of yoga teachers is they graduate from teacher training and there can be a real enthusiasm and desire to teach, and you send out your resume to all these different studios and try to get interviews, and then crickets, tumbleweeds. Nothing happens, right? So it can be really challenging. The reason I created my free ebook on building a private yoga business, because it's teaching privates that can really get you established in your yoga teaching career. But teaching at a studio is a wonderful thing too. And here's the thing. Teaching at a studio affords you other opportunities, right? It gets you in contact with way more people than teaching privates does, and it moves you down the track towards workshops and retreats, and eventually off in the future, perhaps teacher trainings. So how do you get into teaching at a yoga studio? Well, I want to suggest that yoga studios serve two purposes. They are both businesses and they're also community centers. Yoga studios are very much about relationships. A lot of the people who work at yoga studios are working there on some kind of work exchange basis so that they can take classes for free. It's a network of friendships. So because it might be more difficult than you think at first to get a time slot at a yoga studio, I want to suggest something that might be counterintuitive. Become part of the community first. Identify one or two studios that you would love to teach at in the future and play the long game. If you have my ebook on building your private yoga business, that can be helping you to pay your bills at first. Don't think that there's a quick way to get in the door at a yoga studio and you'll have a class with 30 or 40 people in it within a few months' time. Play the long game. Get involved in the community. Take classes. Make friends with the people who work at the studio. Find out how that particular studio works. And then once you've made some of those personal connections, start inquiring about how you get on the sub list. Talk to people about how you really want to teach, how you love yoga, how you did this teacher training 2 months ago or 6 months ago or whatever it was. Most yoga studios in this day and age require that you submit your resume, that you have an interview, that you do an audition. But here's the thing, if you can get in through the community door, through networking and friendships, maybe the owner hangs out at the studio and you can get to know them. They're going to get a feel for who you are as a person. They're going to get a feel for your sincere desire to teach. And it's going to go much easier to give them your resume, to have that interview with them, probably informally, to have them give you a chance to sub a class that they'll come and take and observe you and see what kind of teacher you are. The way it usually works is that you are on the sub list. You maybe get to teach some community classes, some lunchtime classes, some donation-based classes, and then if you do well at those things, you can start to say, hey, you know what? I'd love to teach some more regular times. If anything comes available, please keep me in mind. Once you start subbing or teaching community classes, it's important that you make yourself available, that you prioritize the opportunities that will come your way. That can be difficult at first because people will call you out of the blue. You'll get an email, hey, can you sub for me tomorrow? I want to suggest to you that you say yes as much as possible. Show up, be professional, be consistent, do a good job, enjoy yourself, connect with those students, talk to the person working at the front desk, become part of the furniture until everyone thinks that you have a regular class there before you do, and it just happens.